Do you think being honest about the TAM is even more important for consumer businesses than it is for B2B? Because to your point, if you can't expand the customer past a certain point, you need a lot of customers or a lot of runway.
Yeah, I think you really have to spend a lot of time focused on TAM. And in a lot of instances, I actually think people get TAM wrong where they think it's too small. And so really pushing your thinking about, okay, can this, the TAM at obvious first glance is X, but could this become Y? And that's where I think you create real value.
Can you say more about that? Because I think Uber is like the most canonical example of like thinking the TAM is one thing, but it's really even bigger.
Yeah, like we led an investment in a company called Teachers Pay Teachers, which was a marketplace where teachers bought and sold content from each other. And we were fascinated how big that business was able to become because not only were they monetizing like the obvious stuff where teachers were selling to each other, we were then able to unlock schools where we were able to access like school budgets, and that increased the TAM. So it's things like that where the obvious how the business might be working today may not be how the business is working in 5 years. The other example I'd give you is with a lot of like prosumer businesses, and I'm invested in a business called Otter.ai, which does voice transcription. A lot of times it starts with an individual, and so you're underwriting like an individual TAM, but you're able to then grow into the enterprise. And so a lot of consumer businesses using PLG, which everybody talks about that all the time, but like are able to kind of latch on and grow into the enterprise, even with their consumer roots. And so that would be another way to make TAM bigger.
I think Canva is an example of that. A lot of investors looked at first like, oh, this is a cute little tool for like moms to make birthday cards for their kids. And then next thing you know, they're worth 32 billion and they're selling to enterprises.
Yeah, and they're competing with Adobe. So that's a perfect example.